welcome to the very last day of the Empowered Women Summit. And definitely save the best for last because we're here with the COO of the 49%, our organization, Dana Wilsey.
Hi, Paula.
Hello. Hi,
I'm so happy to be here.
Dana. We pulled it off. Thank God. We did it. All
A
these
lot of
days.
work for you, Paula. You did an amazing job.
A lot of work for you too. And, it's kind of funny. To be honest, I was thinking maybe we should have started the summit with this instead of end it.
To let people know who we are, what we're all
Yeah,
about.
we sort of forgot to do that. So that's no big deal. We'll do it now. Okay, so here is Dana. She, like I said, is the COO of the 49%. She got her degree in human rights and justice from Drexel University, and she also works for Planned Parenthood. She is a warrior for women's rights 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She doesn't stop. And
Thank
here
you
she
for
is to
saying that.
chat. It's true. Okay, so Dana, take us back. Why did we start the 49%? What is the 49%? Why are we here? Let's tell everybody about it.
The 49% is a women's rights organization that we started together after having worked together in Israel on a documentary film about honor violence, female genital mutilation, and women's rights abuses around the world. And you and I saw the impact that that had on audiences and the real change that it could affect, movements it could spark, and how special it is to be let into someone's home through a film. Maybe they didn't know that they cared about certain issues. Maybe they didn't know things were happening in the world to women, which is more often than not the experience that I think we shared. A lot of shocked audiences. And what we found is that through film and through media, we could really make a difference to the way people thought about women's rights in the world.
Yeah, I just had a flashback of the first time that we met. And it was like one of those meetings. We were looking to work together, like you said, on Honor Diaries. And we were right at the campaign part. So the film was finished and now we were going to bring it out into the world. And I think within like 20 minutes of meeting each other, it was like, okay, great, let's do this. Let's work together. Let's change the world. And then I feel like we grew up together in this space and like figured out how we could take this film, Honor Diaries, which you said so beautifully about honor-based violence, and then take this film and then start to change people's minds, like one by one by one.
It's so true. I remember our meeting the exact same way. I consider you to be my working soulmate. And when people ask me what it's like to have you as a business partner, I say, if you put us in a room, we can build a rocket together. Like a couple of tools, we can do anything together. I just feel so lucky to have found each other. And in meeting you, I mean, you really brought me into women's rights from not knowing where I wanted to focus. And you brought me into your film, and it's changed the trajectory of my entire life. So I'm so grateful to you.
Well, I mean, I feel the same. I feel the same way. I just remember we had this great film, and then like week by week by week, you were like, I got us another screening and another screening and another film festival and another this. And like before we knew it, we had 500 plus screenings on 6 continents. And then we showed the film at the UK House of Commons, and then we showed it at the Human Rights Council. And then remember, we were at the screening together in Washington at the National Press Club. And we're kind of like looking at each other like, oh my gosh, like this is happening.
Who let us in?
I know.
It's true, but that's where we belong.
Yeah, that's true. That's where we belong. And I think that's what really led us to do the 49%. Because what happened was, I'll just fill everybody else in, when Honor Diaries took off, it also got a lot of controversy and pushback because it was the first time that some of these topics had been tackled. And so through an amazing series of events, we decided to start the Censored Women's Film Festival because we realized that many women's films were getting censored all over the world, including ours. And we thought, well, you can't censor a censored women's film festival. And if they did, we'd definitely get front page coverage of the New York Times.
Right.
So remember, so then we started the festival with gathering all these other women's films, and we did it in Washington and Berlin, New York. It was incredible. And then, okay, I'll let you fill in the rest. Then what happened?
And then we both decided that it was time for us to move on from the larger organization where we had worked.
Yeah.
We reconnected and we stayed in touch. We reconnected about how passionate we had been about the work we were doing. And you called me one day and you said, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? We know exactly what we want to do. Let's do it. And we did immediately.
Here we are, immediately. And we've been learning ever since.
Truly,
so,
there's never a right time to start a nonprofit organization, ever.
True.
We just
It's
had
true.
to jump in and
here we are.
here we are.
Yeah. So the 49% actually stands for the percentage of women in the world. A lot of people ask us, like, why did you pick that name? But it's because it's because we should be 50% of the world, but there's 150 million missing women because of all the abuse and sex selective abortions and neglect. So actually the number is so skewed. And we always say that is like the name of our organization is kind of a story in and of itself.
Yeah.
So
and it's special to have people ask us, isn't it 51? A lot of times I'm challenged, like we got the information wrong when we created the name of our nonprofit, but it's a learning moment for everyone. Of course, you would expect that the population is 50 or 51% women, but that is only in the developed world.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually frightening when you think about the fact that there is such systemic, such widespread, horrific abuse of women, so much so that it skews the global population. I think that's what makes us different, and also why you and I connect on this. Like, we do care so passionately about women's rights, but we're really serious about the serious abuses that underpin the entire system. So, I mean, my background is in human rights law, and then I got into film, but you also have a really powerful and strong human rights background. I'd love for you to tell us about it.
Well, I have always thought, what's the point of working for not working and towards making the world a better place? There are so many ways to do that. Of course, we've had so many women of different professions in our Empowered Women Summit, teachers. I mean, there are so many avenues to help people. But for me, I thought, and I think for you, you thought human rights is the core of it, in my opinion. And I wanted to be in the middle of it. So I studied human rights and justice in school. And then I went to Guatemala to do some volunteer work. In the countryside, they have a hidden women's shelter. And I could never find it now, even having been there so many times. It was very, very hidden. And it had to be because the domestic abuse, all sorts of abuse perpetrated against women in Guatemala is so high, so dangerous and extreme. It's happening in the streets in front of your eyes. And I had never considered working in women's rights before. But when I witnessed firsthand what was happening, I knew I wanted to be a part of the solution. And I've been working in women's rights ever since.
Totally. I mean, I think that's the thing that gets both of us is like the connection to the personal and to be able to tell the stories, because it's like you said when you first got on the line, when you know someone's story, it cuts you in such a deep and powerful way, and those stories stay with you, and then I think they can help move the needle and inform policy moving on. So tell everybody about some of our projects and things that we do with the 49%, like some of the favorite things that we're up to that they should keep a lookout
we are
for.
Wrapping up the Empowered Women Summit today, right now, which has been such a joy to watch you, Paula, have these incredible, powerful, moving interviews with such incredible women, truly. The feedback has been astounding, honestly. I'm so thrilled. Thank you for what you've done. We are also working all of the time on short films, trying to bring small clips of content to you on social media. And we also have a campus ambassadors program because we had such a wonderful time working with college students back when we did honor diaries, and we saw that college age students, Gen Z in particular, if I may say so, are so passionate, they're smart, and sometimes all they need are the resources, and we have that for them. So I'm thrilled to be back working with college students again. We have decided that each month we want to stream a feminist film to our audience, to all of you, because there are so many wonderful films being made, not just by us. And we want to make sure that these filmmakers, who are most times women, have a platform, and we want to expand that platform ourselves to make sure that these films are seen, these messages are heard.
Totally. I mean, also what's taken on another level of emotion here is like we're bringing in films from all over the world that they were expected to be the films at South by Southwest, you know, getting the best picture prizes. Like, okay, yes, you could, there's still been online film festivals, but these are films that have really missed their audiences because of the pandemic. And so it's also this beautiful opportunity to like bring a Hong Kong film to our audience that like maybe they would have caught it at the indie film, you know, club, but they missed it because of the reality of this year. So that's also been super fun. Okay, so before we, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I think it's so fundamental to our work and our mission. We are collaborators, and our platform is not just for our films. We entered the women's rights space and found that there is a lot of competition because people care about so many different things. And we want to be working together with filmmakers, together with like-minded organizations to push this movement forward.
I love that. I'm so glad you said that. It's so true. There is like actually a pretty bad stigma in the women's rights space that we're all like fighting for the same dollar, like literally dollar, because our work is so underfunded. But you're right. Like that's the thing I think that pushed us at the very beginning to start the 49%, because we started building this community through Honor Diaries and then through the Censor Women's Film Festival. And all of a sudden we had genuine friends and partners in Pakistan, in Toronto, in London, like, and we thought we've got to harness this collectivity. So, I mean, we're definitely still working on that. We've got a ways to go, but I mean, that's the thing that lights me up.
I completely agree.
It's just amazing. And also to find that common denominator, because so often we're told that if we're, you know, not the same religion, not the same political belief system, not the same race, I don't know, not the same country, like that there's not a common denominator, but it's not true. And when you start seeing these women's rights films and hearing the stories, you find this commonality. And then it's like, I mean, united, we're just so much more powerful. So, okay, I love, like, we're gonna wrap up, I guess. But I'd love for, I don't know, I'd love just to hear like your thoughts on this past year and the pandemic and like moving forward, and I don't know what you've learned, what you've grown from.
The pandemic has been a very interesting time for me and for the 49%. We sit in different time zones, you and I. We work very long distance. I work during the day at Planned Parenthood. So in many ways, it has been challenging in terms of work. Thank goodness I'm healthy. On the other hand, and I think you would say this about me, challenging times light me up. When my partner and the rest of the world are all asleep and I have to be up working, and sleep sounds delicious, but I love what I do. I love to work so much. And so the pandemic has in many ways shown me what I have to be grateful for. And that is a partner that I love in you,
Mm.
work that I love. And don't get me wrong, I hope that one day I am out of the job. We should not be working in women's rights. This should not be a field of work. It is wild. But I feel grateful and proud that, of course, with privilege, I've been able to move to a country and a city that I chose because I have the autonomy to do so. I think you would probably feel the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting to hear the way you characterize it, like the privilege to be able to do the work. And I think that's really powerful. And I also think, you know, this time has squeezed us and so many people, us, the collective us, not just you and me, and has shown us like what's truly possible. I mean, we made a film over WhatsApp, like directed the film over WhatsApp with our partners in Karachi. And that's the kind of thing that this pandemic has like pushed. Like I feel like we've all been squeezed.
Yes.
And then when you've got that like squeezing, you know, then what kind of expansion can come from the other side of that? So I agree. It's been growing.
How do you
growing
feel,
process.
Paula?
No. I mean, that's how I feel. I don't know. I feel like that we've all been pushed to our limits, and at our limits is where we can find the magic, and that's what's happening. But the sadness and the grief and the loss, that's real too. And I mean, I just can't wait for us to be back in the same room to be able to do this work together. So thank you. I mean, times a million. I'm so grateful to be doing this with you. And I also just want to give a huge shout out to Kendra C, who is truly behind the scenes. And we love you, Kendra.
Kendra, thank you for
so
all
much.
of the hard work you've been doing.
Amazing. So this wraps up our summit. It's been a true joy and honor to be part of this. And I don't think this is the last time we're going to do something like this. So y'all stay tuned. And thanks for your beautiful feedback. Thanks for joining this journey. I've been stretched to my limit and learned so much. And I'm just really grateful. Thank you. Bye.